you're trying to find when you draw the length, the width, and the height, so estimating the visual segment of the height from the bottom to the top. This just happens to be a 30-degree template, isometric template as well. This one also marked at 30 degrees at the top, just for the minor axis, the shorter angle for this. So when I come down to this piece, just kind of estimating the base of it, which is here, so I can go ahead and put a vertical line, and I'm just keeping it in line with the paper. So that I just went up to the edge of the paper to make it square and give myself that 90-degree angle. And with this, the base of it, I can just kind of climb right up the top. Top to bottom is what I actually did. So as you're looking at the actual object, you can see the base of it has a thickness to it that comes out. So I'm just going to drop that down just a little bit to give me that line. And you notice it doesn't matter the thickness or the depth of this line. I'm just going to make it pretty heavy as it goes into that start to be the baseline. And then as this climbs up, just making it a little bit larger as it goes through this. And as long as it stays on this plane, I don't really have to worry about the plane area of it. But these are the same, representing just the base of that. And as it's crisp enough, I can always erase it or take it off later. This does taper. It does have an edge to it. So as I climb up the vertical piece, just trying to estimate that distance, and again locating this elliptical shape. And in this one, use a little bit larger ellipse. Let me double check here. So I can lay this down here pretty good. As long as this has the central piece, again, taking a look at the plastic, the overall value of this is pretty high key, meaning pretty bright. Let's see if I can swap this one in here. That's what's too large. Put this out a little bit. And again, I kind of had it laid out a little bit, so here's the top of this. And if it is concentrically there, I can always bump it down a little bit to have the perspective show more space in the foreground in the front of this than in the back here. And just drop this down because it's the same thickness to it. Right there. So that gives me the outer lip. The inside of this, where the water line is actually, just going to place this down here and kind of estimate it right there. And I can even bring it around to this side because that's the tangent that this line's going to be at. So as long as these two elliptical shapes has the edge to it, just concentrically coming down. And I put a couple shapes in here just for the eye. So all this is pretty free form, so I'm going to come back into that. This has a lip to it, so I can always add another piece up to the top. And again, just dropping this down. So it's like a lot of subtle details all highlighted out there. And that gives me that ridge. When this goes down from the handle right here, from the base, put a line there. Just going to drop them down evenly. And I did use a little bit of the engineering scale where I dropped this down and made a mark right here. And make equal distances of the distance so that it gives me a little guideline to go through. So if you're doing it freehand or with a template, that's fine. And I'm going to switch back to this section here, and you can see as it just rides itself down, and even the shape of the template goes from large to small, just as the ridges go from a little larger to smaller as it drops down. So here's where it starts off, and you just have to keep an eye on not only the distance, but then how far you're coming down with it. And see if you can line it up pretty good. It just has to get concentrically there, and it's a little bit larger than the width of the cup because it does wrap itself around here. So here's where you can drop these down. And this is very similar to the bolt where you have the lines concentrically coming down there. And that gives you those ridges. So pretty much have that all delineated out. Take a look at the reference file and say, okay, drawing through this, because it's, in other words, the darkest value when you look at this reference is behind it. Everything else is pretty high key, meaning it's very, very light inside the drawing, so it's not a lot of contrast, but still just trying to give it a slight tone so you can kind of see some of the reflections down here. So it's an opaque, translucent object. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of tone. Taking a look at this ridge, and again, it does have a little bit of cast shadowing to it. And now wherever any of those lines are where you've done before, we've stretched the value from that line into a tone. This is exactly where it's happening. White highlights you can kind of pick out with a eraser or try to draw around it. In this case, here's a ridge that gives some depth to it, into the value. And then as it goes down, you have to look and see it's kind of light on the edge, so either draw it in or try to take it out with an eraser. It's pretty subtle. And then wrap this around. But again, here where you're looking for a little bit of a pattern is going to help the drawing. Give a realistic illusion there. And when the things are coming forward, like the front of the cup, that's where you can have the most contrast in there. I'm trying to look at this ice. Just going to try smudging a little of this. To show you in one possibility. I'm taking an eraser. Getting some of those highlights there. And something like that where you want to zoom in on the reference to really see the shapes there. See what's happening in there. What I mean by high key is that the light values in the spectrum are pretty bright all the way through that. See if you can locate that again. If you use the template, that's fine. Not necessary. But get in there and see if you can shade that in there pretty good.